episode of That Scuffed Up. Welcome to episode 42. Myself, Justin Lee, back here again with you guys after being gone for a week. Busy with school, that's just life, how life is. But right now, for me, on spring break, so we're here. Got a lot to unpack throughout this season. So far, it is now week 6 that we're getting ourselves into, already past the halfway mark. Got through the beach series, got through week 5, and we also had another edition game as well, which we'll get to a little bit later in the show. Stephen Hayden editing himself his own video last week. If you didn't check that out, make sure you go backwards and check that episode 41 out as well. Stephen with a sick outro and intro indeed. Stephen, how you doing today?
Yeah, I know you're jealous of my outros over there, Justin. I know you wish you had those.
Your royalty-free outro music, so great.
Yeah, look who decided to show up here, guys. Justin Lee is back. We are back. We're getting to the thick of things. Things are starting to get going. Stuff's about a month, 2 away, really, from starting up across the country with football wise. But we've been going strong. We've been going good already. I was going good with the podcast last week. I did get it out before the Tuesday's play games went on though, so I wasn't entirely sure that would happen based off some stuff I was having some trouble with, but we got it done. It was out, and right now we're here. We're a little tired. A lot of throwing lately. A lot of baseball going on for me especially, and along with school and with all other things like that. So. Things are starting to pick up wiffle ball wise, OC wiffle ball, SoCal wiffle ball, and all that, and also fast pitch and things like that. So we're getting there. We're getting going here.
Indeed, we are. We've got baseball season right around the corner. We got 2 teams playing in Korea in the Korea series, then the Dodgers and Padres this week, and then the regular season is going to come up really, really fast, which is nice. So we're right back in the thick of it with baseball season, wiffle ball season, like you mentioned, and obviously, we got to start off with the Week 5 results that we got from a week ago. On the website, we had to kind of, well, not guess, but Steven understands which teams won and which teams did not. Some of the scores may not be as accurate as we are telling them, so just a heads up. That's what we have on the plate right now. And also, we'll talk a little bit later in the show, maybe some other league-wise stuff and stuff from other leagues. To be mentioned later on. So why don't we start off and get right into it with the Week 5 results. Starting off on the day, 6:20 time slot. We've got the OC Wiffles of LA playing against the Avocabros. Both of these teams, OC Wiffles of LA, so far a very interesting team. We have an unexpected player that we have been mentioning throughout the last couple of weeks who's been making a show out for this team in David Curaz. But the OC Wolves of LA get the win over the Avocabros. What were your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, we saw the Avocabros have a very close games here with the LA Wiffles seed taking one and splitting one. Whereas with the counterpart OC Wiffles, it looks like they were able to take the victory in both their matchups this year. As we're doing this on a Saturday night, the March 16th, I'll expose when we're recording. But as we're doing this, the results are not posted on the website from March 5th. So we only got the winners. I have a score for like 2 or 3 games, but 2 or 3 of them are from us. So don't look too much into it because we don't know the scores either right now. So but back to here. OC Wiffles have been playing real good so far. Their bats have been real hot. Have a 357 on batting average with a 539 on base percentage as a team. And then pitching wise, that switch over from getting David Kuros being that second pitcher has been a great switch for them. I mentioned him a bit in last week's video, which we'll talk more about later on as well. He's got 11 innings pitched, a 2.73 ERA. 5 runs allowed and 19 strikeouts. So with him and then with James leading the way, these guys have really been able to shut down opponents' offenses. Like I said, I don't know the exact score of the game. I don't think this is a super high scoring one, but OC Wiffles continue to move on. And Avocabros, right now they're sitting at that 5 spot going into this week. Could have used a win like this over a team that's above them in the standings, but unable to get that here. Right now, Avocados would be the 1 seed of the D2 playoffs. So I think they're still in a good spot. I could see them winning the D2 World Series, but we'll see how things shake out. Maybe they can sneak their way back into the D1 playoffs as the 4 seed or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And avocados we'll talk about a little bit later, including the LA Wolves or the OC Wolves of LA. And we're gonna kind of talk about where they're at in the standings as well, because at the end of these Week 5 results, they're currently sitting in that 2 spot, which is pretty nice. Maybe a little bit of unexpected news for a lot of players in the league, but if anything, Steven, you understanding what kind of talent is on that team, I'm sure you kind of knew what was brewing within the OC Wolves of LA squad.
Yeah, they've been playing together for a few seasons. Their third season playing together. The first season they did have Dominic Caroni in there. But I mean, they had Dominic Caroni in there, and then without Ethan Rathman. Ethan Rathman's been a great addition. And as good as Dominic was with the OC Wiffles, he's doing pretty well with the LA Wiffles as well. So I think everything worked out there for the best. I think Ethan Rathman and James Lee are balancing off each other really well. And then the management of James Lee and Ethan Lee of the team has been pretty good so far. Has been able to be capitalized and continue to be better throughout the seasons. I know the first 2 seasons they didn't make the playoffs. The second season they were really close. They just needed to win their last game in order to make it. But it looks like they're securing themselves a good spot. They already beat the Beach City Bombers once this year. Their only 2 losses so far this year are to the Trash Pandas. So even though they got to play the Beach City Bombers one more time and the other will supposed to see twice, I think they're pretty secured into that D1 playoffs. And you got James Lee on your team. Anything can happen. As I mentioned in last week's video, how what his impact has been to the league in the OC Wolves of LA team so far.
Yeah, a big piece indeed. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Trash Pandas, who we're actually going to mention 3 times throughout the results because they had a triple header day in Week 5. Their first game being against the Pitches Gone Wild, who they kind of ran over in the first inning. I believe they got into basically double-digit runs in literally the first inning, but this one was a sweep away with the Trash Pandas beating the Pitches Gone Wild in the second game of the day.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was not only double-digit runs, but also double-digit home runs in the first inning. I think I heard they got 10 home runs in the first inning, so they jumped out right away, as they are one to do so far. Seems like they're a team on the mission. After losing the previous 2 World Series, they're swinging the bats, they're swinging them well. Michael Haskup continue to swing it well, as we talk about pretty much every week with him, leading the league in batting average and on base percentage, I believe at this point. No more Nicholas Tone leading the league in on base percentage with the stupid amount of walks or anything like that. Overall, this team is continuing to hit. Blake Fitzgerald and Mo Wright being back, they've been continuing to do well on the mound, and it's been a good sign for them. Obviously, it's led to them being a 9-0 team right now. I'm pretty sure they're already guaranteed a spot in the D1 playoffs. I think they're all but guaranteed that one spot in the playoffs so far. So it's going to be very tough seeing a team being able to beat them. The Beach City, they've already beaten LOC Wiffles twice, and they've already beaten LA Wiffles once, and the Beach City Bombers once. So far. So even though they got to play both these teams again, Trash Pandas are pretty much set. It's just going to be, we've seen this before with previous teams as well, such as the Plastic Pitches and the MS Warriors / Purple Huskies in the 2023 fall season, where both the teams finish with only one loss in the whole year, and then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs and they lose 2 games and their series is over and they have nothing to show for it. It would be interesting to see if the Trash Pandas have something similar to that, even though in the past they've knocked out those teams like the Purple Huskies after they only have one. They go 11-1 on the season. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake up the Trash Pandas and if anyone's going to be able to figure them out.
Yeah, like mentioned before, we're gonna also talk about them in the next two games, which is actually probably the two tougher games that they have on this slate for this Week 5 results, which we'll get to a little bit later. But anyways, moving on to the 7:25 slot, we have the Beach City Bombers take on Pitches Gone Wild. Who Pitches Gone Wild? Actually, this would be their second game of three that they would play today as well. So they're also on that triple header slate as well, but against some really tough teams. They had to play three really tough teams: Trash Pandas, Beach City Bombers, and LA Wolves of OC, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But Beach City Bombers get away with this one as well against the Pitches Gone Wild. Basically, a tough day for the Pitches Gone Wild so far.
Yeah, I mean, adjusting to the league, they've had some games where they've been pretty close and nearly won. But I mean, this slate of games is pretty tough for any team, just in general. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's be tough if you switch around the Trash Pandas and put them in a situation where you have them play the number 1, 2, and 4 seeds going into this week. But Beach City Bombers able to get the bats going here. I think it helped them out with a later game for them as well. But Beach City Bombers continuing to do well, even though they were sitting tied for second place in this one, able to get a good big win as needed. Obviously, the OC Wolves got the win in their first game, so they needed to keep it up and keep track. But Jordan Joshua and Tyler Moore still doing well on the mound. Tyler Moore has given up a few more runs so far, but we'll talk more about some of those runs that were given up later on. But Charlie Phillips has still been pitching pretty well so far. 7 2/3 innings, I mean to say. 16 strikeouts, only 2 runs allowed for him. So you have Tyler, you have Charlie, and you have Jordan pitching as well. 3 of those have been pretty good. And then offensively, they've struggled offensively at times, as we'll talk more about later, but they still do have some good numbers hitting. Now, Tyler's hitting 481. Jordan's having a down year here at 367. I wonder if it's that leaving Ellisville OC curse that's going on. But Will Control is hitting 360. You got Charlie Phillips hitting 290, and Shannon mixing in there with a 200 average as well. So and we'll talk about them more in a later game as well for the 8:30 slot.
Yes, we will. That one's also going to be a pretty tough game, which we'll mention in just a bit. Moving on, though, we got the Avocabros taking on Whoosh. This being the first game of the day for Whoosh, but Avocabros being their second. This is exactly a win that they needed to get, and that's exactly what happened. Avocabros taking out Whoosh, keeping themselves high in those standings.
Yeah, they do. This is like I believe it's a 5-7 matchup going into the day. Whoosh needing to get some wins. Unable to here, though. Avocabros continue. They bounce off their loss in the first game and come back and win the second game. Both teams that can be right in the mix there for that D2 World Series as if the season were to end today. And even when the season ends, I think we can see both these teams potentially in a World Series for that D2 World Series. Overall, Daniel Lukac coming back has been good for them and playing more. I'm entirely sure if he was there this week, but so far on this season, he's got a 375 average. Lucas Sarda also out there with a 392 average on the season with 20 hits and 4 home runs to this name. The former Silver Slugger, I believe it was. It's either Silver Slugger or Hank Aaron, I believe. It was one of those awards he won previously in the league, as well as a Manager of the Year last season, I should say. Avocado was improving on the pitching as well. I can see the numbers are going down from the previous weeks. And then for Whoosh, it looks based off the run totals. It looks like they were able to get some more runs. I believe I mentioned it last week that they were at somewhere around 26 runs scored for the whole year before this week. So now they're up to 45. So they scored about 19 runs this week. Good to see for them. They get the offense going. They have the pitching that's needed. But if they get that offense going, that's going to improve things dramatically for them. So, unlucky not to get one here, but we'll talk about Whoosh again later on.
Yes, we will. We'll mention them in that 8:30 slot just in a minute, but the game we definitely have to get to on the day is the Trash Pandas matchup versus the LA Wiffles of OC. Interesting story about this game. Stephen Hayden was actually absent for almost the entirety of the entirety of the game. So yeah, some guy named Steven, he was late. But going into this game, we had Tommy Hernandez and Justin Lee both on the bump. And unfortunately, the Trash Pandas did beat out the LA OC, and actually a pretty close game in the absence of one of their best players on the team. So definitely tells you a lot. I know you weren't here for this, so I'll kind of go over the summary. Basically, we had Tommy Hernandez up on the bump, struck out a plethora of Trash Pandas hitters. We kind of kept it close for the most part on the defensive side of things, only having about three of us out there on the field. Dominic Caroni was out there as well. Justin Lee getting 3 home runs off of the Trash Pandas in this game. Tommy Hernandez also really working the bat as well. He's been a bright spot for this team so far this season, and we'll mention him when we get to the MVP watch a little bit later. Just how fantastic that season has been for him. And then Justin Lee actually doing some interesting stuff with the pitching on the pitching side of things, striking out 2 Trash Pandas, keeping it on the down low. Unfortunately, we got down to basically the last at bat with Dominic Caroni. We had the bases loaded, just weren't able to get away with any runs there at the very end to tie the game up, or at least get ahead of it with a walk-off. But I mean, it definitely does tell you a lot, just the kind of players that are on this team even without their best guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they were able to battle well. They were able to play well. I mean, I did see a lot of these highlights. Thanks to the Louisville C Instagram, which you can check out on Instagram always. You can always check that out there. You can always see some of the highlights from these previous games and things like that. So yeah, it sounds like it was a good battle. I mean, Tommy Hernandez is continuing to hit the ball and just hit the ball and hit the ball, which is good to see. Especially first time coming to the league. That sometimes the hitting can be a struggle for some guys, but he's adjusted right away. Pitching wise, it sounded like he did pretty well as well. Had a good defensive play out there, but who knows had it been any different if actually maybe OC might have lost by more. Lost by more if Steven was there. So who knows what may have happened there, but. People miss all the time. It happens. So there have been plenty of victories in the past where other people have missed, where they say, if we just had this guy, then we would have won. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it certainly is just the way it is. He comes in a little bit later, as we'll talk about in the next matchup for the Ilioso OC. But Trash Pandas kind of get away with a sneaky one here, with the Ilioso OC sneaking up against the former 2-time appearance World Series team in the Trash Pandas. And we'll get to see him a little bit more later down the road, but obviously these are 2 of the top teams in the league right now. So once they get another matchup, or obviously maybe in the playoffs as well, this could be down to the wire once again, like it always has been with this squad.
Yeah, it usually is. Especially these past 2 seasons, it's kind of come down to it's literally come down to the Louisville C and Trash Pandas for that World Series. They've matched up in the 3 previous playoffs. The Trash Pandas took the wild card round for Louisville C, but then since then, Louisville C beat the Trash Pandas every game of the World Series, sweeping them each time. So it could be a World Series matchup. It could be another team, but another team or 2 mixing in there, like the OC Wiffles or the Beach City Bombers. But who knows? It's good to see. Louisville C are kind of getting hot and kind of figuring things out. Pitching wise, mainly is the main thing with figuring out who's going to be that number 2 arm on the mound after Steven is out of innings. So, Trash Pandas still got a good victory here and still maintain that undefeated season.
Yeah, they do. They get away with that sneaky one. Speaking of which, we got the 8:30 time slot with the Trash Pandas once again taking on the Beach City Bombers. This is also one of those other really tight games between the 2 other really good teams in this league as well. Basically, the 2 top dogs, if you want to call it, minus the OC Wiffles of LA. But the Trash Pandas get away with this victory
basically
as well.
The 2 top dogs.
Yeah, basically the 2 top dogs, the very top dogs.
Yeah, Ethan.
Anyways, the Trash Pandas beating out the Beach City Bombers in actually another close one between these 2 teams. 12-10, the final score. Trash Pandas obviously keeping that undefeated season going.
Yeah, the first time these 2 teams were going to meet each other, I did spoil it before, and the fact that the Trash Pandas did beat the Beach City Bombers. So that in this game, a lot of home runs being hit. It looked like Jordan Dressler got some runs hit off him for the first time. Ended up giving up 4 runs in this game. Tyler Moore also had 8 runs given up to him in this game, I believe, or I believe that is the case. So, I mean, I said it before in the previous podcast without you that I mean, eventually you're not going to have a continuous season where you throw and only give up like one or two runs and throw that many innings. You know that Jordan season last year, even he gave up 6 runs in 29 innings, which is still ridiculous. But it's not always going to be like that. There's going to be someone that's going to eventually figure you out. And we'll see. We're able to get 1 run off of Jordan, and then Trash Pandas were able to get 4 runs off of Jordan. So, but I mean, Beach City Bombers were hitting the ball a lot better this game. They were seeing the ball a lot better than they had in some of their previous games, such as when they lost to the OC Wiffles of LA. It looks like the Mo Wright was their guy they were able to get after and score some runs off of. Not as much Blake Fitzgerald, but Mo with that with that 1 pitch arsenal, that 2 pitch arsenal, they were able to get a hold. They were able to get a hold of him and send some for a ride. But Trash Pandas remain strong. They remain good. There's a couple, 1 or 2 good plays in the outfield that I remember seeing, but pretty good game overall. It should be interesting when these two teams play each other again.
Yes, it will be. So far, the 4 top teams right now playing in some very close matchups. We get some more later down on the road, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But moving on to the next game on this 8:30 slot, we got the Whoosh taking on the OC Juicers. Obviously, we talked about Whoosh losing to Avocabros just a minute ago. But Whoosh come in here and they take away the victory from the OC Juicers and putting another win on their column that they definitely need as well.
Yeah, they did need that one. Their second win on the season actually bumps them ahead to 6th place, ahead of the OC Juicers. These two teams split the series on the year, and I mean, we talked about Whoosh already, and they got the offense going this week. If they continue getting it going, maybe too late for them to get into that D1 playoffs at this point. But for them, they can be a factor in that D2 playoffs, as can OC Juicers. So if the season were to end right now, these teams would play each other in the first round of the playoffs. That would be a very interesting 3-game series. I can see that going 3 games for sure. But it's going to be very interesting to see how both these teams end up finishing up. OC Juicers still playing relatively well. Just giving up a little too many runs so far on the year. They have the second worst runs against for them with 100. Offensive wise, they're not horrible with 59, which if I'm not mistaken, is 6th in the league. But as I mentioned for Whoosh last week, they're now second to last in runs scored with 45, whereas last week they were last with 26, I believe, and giving up 72 runs on the year, which puts them actually 4th in the league. So they're able to find the balance between them. They could be a real dangerous team in that D2 playoffs.
It certainly can be. They have a lot of good potential in there. Obviously, Whoosh is a team that won Division II World Series last season, so they're a team to continue to look out for, especially when they're in this dark horse position that they are in the standings. But we'll give that overview in just a minute. Moving on, though, to the LA Wolves of OC, the final game of the day on this 8:30 slot. LA Wolves of OC taking on the Pitch has gone wild. Steven did show up halfway through this game, coming in and getting some reps in as well. But Elias OC coming away with a big win in 21-1 over Pitch has gone wild. With the Pitch has gone wild, still looking for that first win of the season.
Yeah, I did show up in the second inning here. I finally got home. We were playing a baseball game at the Masters University, 2:00, and I pitched in that game and didn't do super well. I may or may not have given up a 2-run nuke, but it is what it is. There wasn't a good day for us overall as a team, and that's for sure. But came back. We eventually got back. A couple stops on the way, trying to find something to eat, and then ended up getting here in the second inning. Stepped right in, almost hit a home run, but got caught. But overall, we'll see. We're able to do pretty well in this game. Dominic Crony ended up finding his way onto the mound in the game as well. Pitched a scoreless inning, using his legs to play some defense. Also has a 0 ERA for himself with that 1 inning pitched. Not totally sure how that's worked because I think he gave up a run to Avocabros, but that may have been misinput either from me or from the stats perspective. I'm not totally sure on that, but sorry, Dominic. I can't let you get away with that. But
Damn.
But I mean, he did get on the mound. He did do well. Tommy Hernandez pitched well on the day. Justin Lee didn't pitch in this game. Steven did not have to pitch much. Luckily, he only pitches one inning. I believe went 1, 2, 3 in the innings. So and then hitting wise, Steven finally remembered how to hit a home run. It had been like since week 2 since Steven hit a home run. Tommy Hernandez still hitting the continue to crush the ball. So far on the season has 16 home runs, which I believe includes a couple from a game we're going to talk about later as well after the Purple League games. Justin Lee's with a 329 average, kind of somewhat similar to his winter 23 numbers, but slightly under. Even with Steven struggling at the plate, 434 average on the year, he's still trying to find. I can tell you from personal experience, he's trying to find a swing. I think he's getting walked a little bit more. He got 19 walks on the season, which is some of the most in the league, only behind guys like Ethan Raffman, Blake Fitzgerald, and of course Nicholas Tone. How could I forget about him? Well, we'll see with a good win here. A lot of runs scored. And as for pitches gone wild, that's what you said before. Tough week for them. Tough matchups. I'm confident they're still going to be able to get 1 or 2 wins before the season ends, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for real. I mean, how does Nick even have 29 walks? That's ridiculous. Anyways,
if you don't swing the bat, then you just force people to miss the zone. Then that's how it works. I'm sure he would tell you.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess we'll have to have that conversation later. Anyways, we got week 6 results. We don't have the scores for the Purple League stuff, so we'll just kind of overview both of those games real fast. Beach City Babes and Pancake Batters both playing the Sheeps in this 2-game set, but the Sheeps actually losing both of those games against Beach City Babes and Pancake Batters. And with those standings right now, Beach City Babes with a 5-2 record currently, Pancake Batters with a 5-3 record, and the Sheeps with a 1-6 record, all respectively 1, 2, and 3 in those standings right now.
Yeah, that is the situation. That is the case here for these teams here. I mean, the Chiefs, I feel a little bit sorry for. I know they did have a good win the week 4, I believe. So anything can happen with these playoffs. We'll see. But right now, it's a battle to see who's going to get that bye into the World Series, whether it be the Beach City Babes or Pancake Batters. Looks like the Beach City Babes got 1 game to make up. Otherwise, they'd be right around the same record or a game ahead at most. So we'll see what happens with the Purple League as we continue on.
Yes, we will. Let's check out those playoffs picture a little bit later down the road, like we always do on this show. But that does it for Week 5 stuff. In terms of the standing, this is actually just accurate to what we were talking about with Week 5, because we also have to talk about a game later after we overview the standings in the Elyousa OC taking on the Beach City Bombers. So right now, in the standings, Trash Pandas obviously at the very top with a 9-0 record. We talked about OC Wolves of LA in that 2nd spot, Beach City Bombers in that 3rd spot, and Elyousa OC in that 4th spot. It's about to switch in a second. That 5th spot, Avocabro, 6 Whoosh, 7 OC Juicers, and then Pitches Gone Wild at that bottom 8th spot currently. So that is your standings up to Week 5. Probably going to change a little bit later, but that's where it stands right now. And that's pretty much what it looks like, yeah. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah,
Any thoughts, though? Who could be like the dark horse team, really? I mean, Avocabros could definitely be a team that might sneak in there. It kind of depends, because right now that 3rd, 4th, and 2nd place, even that 2nd place, it has some potential to get knocked off.
Yeah, I think we might have to wait and talk about that in a little second. I think we need to get to this next game first to be able to talk about that answer.
Okay. Well, let's get to it then. So the story about this game is that this was meant to be played during the Sand Series. Beach City Bombers had to reschedule because they didn't have enough players. And same thing with Elyousa OC in some way. So Steven had talked to the manager, which is Tyler Moore, moved this to a game to a field up in Fullerton called Lions Field. And we played this actually this past Tuesday at about 7:00 p.m. on this really crazy turf field where wiffle balls were going like Beyblades. Steven can attest to that because he had one hit earlier that he'll tell you about later, which was fun to watch and really sucked. But both of these teams actually getting into a really close game here in the early goings. Towards the end, things kind of opened up for the LOS OC, and then Beach City Bombers kind of rebutted a little bit, but we'll talk about why they have a 4-run time on their sheet. But LOS OC ultimately come away with a victory here, 7-4 victory in this matchup, with only 3 guys on the LOS Wiffles of OC present at this game.
Yeah. I mean, this was. Yeah, I mean, this is when I set up and organized. I brought out pretty much all the stuff except for the zone. Tyler Moore brought out his zone, which luckily he had a zone that was the same size as the OC Wiffle Ball one. So we used all of our own stuff. We got it together, all the cones and everything. Went out to this field. Went out to Lions Field in Fullerton, which is there's a very big turf field out there. Got a football field out there. Got 4 softball size fields out there. Sometimes you see some baseball out there. I know in the past I've seen schools like Bethesda and Nobel University out there doing some workout stuffs. So we went out there, went on the football field, set everything up, and off we went right away. Became a pitcher's duel pretty quickly, especially the first 2 innings between Jordan Dressler and Stephen Hayden. Both of them getting a lot of outs. Third inning came along. Tommy Hernandez went in the game. Struggled with the control, able to get 1 out, but did let up a run due to 4 walks. Then Justin Lee came into the game, did not had a strikeout in the ground ball, not allow any more runs. So it was 1-0. It stayed 1-0 all the way through the top of the 5th inning. Jordan Dressler pitched his 4 innings, didn't allow a single run. 1 robbed home run in the first inning. Stephen Hayden had a home run robbed of him in the first inning. That Jordan Dresser was doing a pretty good job striking guys out and things like that, and the Beach City Bombers played good defense. 5th inning came around. Tyler Moore came into the game, and the bats woke up for the Louisville C. I believe I walked to get on base, and then Tommy Hernandez got the bat going again with a 2-run homer. Then the 6th inning came around, and Tommy Hernandez with another home run. Added on with a double and a single. Justin added on with a walk. And eventually, Charlie Phillips came into the game and eventually was able to get the last 2 outs, but not before the Louisville C made it a 7-1 ball game. Stephen closed out the 5th and the 6th inning. Little interesting situation with what would have been the very last pitch of the game. It was a swing and a miss in which Tyler hit the zone before he would have hit the ball. The game would have ended 7-1 right there, but I said, I didn't feel comfortable with the game ending like that. Let's just redo that count and do it again. He ends up hitting the triple the next pitch, so maybe not the smartest decision by me, but it's one of those that I take it and I live by it no matter what it is. Then scores 2 runs there, and Jordan Dressler gets a single just barely fair down the line to score another run. Then I strike out Charlie looking to end the game, make it 7-4. So it could have been a 7-1 game right there, but decided not to go that way. So Louisville C take that one. They split the series versus Beach City Bombers on the year and actually move ahead of them in the standings, which it's not input in the standings right now, but in terms of real-time standings, Louisville C sit at 6-3, whereas the Beach City Bombers sit at 5-3. So Louisville C are actually in 3rd as of this point. So very, very interesting game overall. A couple points here. Tommy Hernandez got his bat going. Starting the bottom of the 4th with a single off Jordan. Jordan was dotting Tommy up all night. Tommy could not figure out how to hit Jordan just in the first 3 innings. Got real hot. The 5th and 6th inning continued on with 2 home runs and a triple as well. I'm not sure. He might have gotten out 1 time in the last 2 innings. Stephen Hayden added on with a couple hits as well. Even with a Justin Lee off night hit at the plate, those 2 able to pick it up. The biggest story of the night was probably the defense. Even though they had 3 guys, they were expecting 4. Austin Cutter was an unexpected scratch from this game, so they were stuck with 3. But a lot of good defense here. It started right away in the first inning with Justin Lee making a double play. Never in my life did I ever think I'd see him hit the strike zone from that far, much less when he's on the mound. So it's one of those who I thought was a dead clock is right twice a day, I guess. So
Wow. All right.
He had some great play. That's a great place. You had Tommy Hernandez laying out for a ball to keep it in front for an out instead of being a single. Had a diving catch by me in the outfield to save a double or a triple, I believe. And then I also had Tyler had smoked the ball, must have been hit about 75, 80 miles an hour up the middle. I literally just stuck my hand out and happened to catch it, which saved a single. So defense, LOSC were just able to hold on until they explode into the fifth and sixth inning, end up winning this game 7-4.
Certainly, and that was an interesting game as well. There was also some really interesting stuff that happened as well. Like we talked about the wiffle balls, kind of, going foul ball, and then all of a sudden coming right back in. I remember you had one that went pretty much out. It stopped spinning or something like that, and it spun like right in front of that first cone. So that was unfortunate. But that's what happens when you play.
Yeah, the one that rolled like 6 feet, like 8 feet foul.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen right away, and I shouldn't have said anything. Otherwise, I might have gotten away with it because it literally would have just been it was literally just barely a fair ball that would end up being fielded for an out. And it was like, okay, I just can't buy much right now offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you play on a grass field versus a turf field, especially with the turf field when it's flat like that and there's like no grass, to stop the ball. It's pretty much just going to go whichever way it wants to. And unfortunately, it went the wrong way. So that was funny. But yeah, like you said, those standings kind of adjust here. Obviously, they're not updated yet, but they probably will be later on after week 6 because we got that right around the corner. But a lot of interesting stuff with the standings. Obviously, Ilioso's in 3rd. You said Beach City's in 4th. I asked a question earlier, like who's kind of the dark horse team in your opinion right now? Because that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th seed is definitely not locked up, in my opinion. But when we get because we're halfway through the season, right? We still got a lot of ball to go.
Yeah, more than halfway actually.
More than halfway. But the question becomes who's a team that could potentially turn things around really fast here.
I think these two teams that played here are kind of, in terms of D1. I think those two are really dark horses here. Trash Pandas. Trash Pandas aren't a dark horse because they're 9-0 in their first place and they're undefeated on the season. So you can't be a dark horse and be first place. OC Wiffle sit in second place right now. Had a good victory the previous week versus Beach City Bombers. However, the OC Wiffles do have to play the Beach City Bombers again, as well as the Ellisville Sea twice. And the OC Wiffles of LA have never beaten the Ellisville Sea in a game. And maybe it'll happen once, maybe not, but a team like Louisville C could really shoot up into that second seed, as well as the Beach City Bombers possibly could, depending on how their last matchups go and things like that. They still got to play the Trash Pandas once and OC Wiffles once. So those matchups of the OC Wiffles of LA are going to be really big here. If they're able to come away with 2 out of 3 victories between Beach City Bombers and Louisville C, then they'll pretty much secure that second seed. But say Louisville C were able to sweep OC Wiffles of LA like has happened in the previous seasons, things become very interesting. Louisville C all of a sudden shoot up to second place, and we'll see what happens after that. So for D1 right now would be probably the Louisville C are the most sneaky team. One you can't really quite figure out, just because that second pitcher has been inconsistent at times. And we saw Tommy Hernandez pitch very well during week 5 and then week 6. And then the game at Lions Park, he only was able to record a third of an out. So we'll see what happens with that team. It's still kind of the dark horse right now. And then obviously we know what Tyler Moore and Jordan Dressler are to the league. Their first season together seems like they're still figuring out stuff, even though they've only allowed 19 runs on the whole year. If they can just get the offense going at the right time, both these teams can win this thing.
Yeah, and we'll get to see that in action later on in week 6 because LA Wolves OC do play Whoosh and the Trash Pan is coming up here on Tuesday. So that'll be interesting, and hopefully, you already said it earlier before the recording, you're gonna be there, so that might create a difference between that last matchup against the Trash Pandas and then obviously right now. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I was a little worried I wasn't going to be there. I have the same situation as that first week where I have the game against the same team, but this time it's a home game instead of an away game. So able to be there, and plus we have the later time slots as well, which works even better. So and it just means I'm going to spend about 10 hours at the Great Park on next Tuesday nights. So yeah, I'll pretty much I'll pretty much only leave to go get lunch/dinner, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day. Um, if you keep up with the OC Wiffle Ball Instagram page, we're going to talk about last episode for you in just a second. But you can see the stories at the time of this recording. We have the MVP watch and the Cy Young watch currently right now between the two top guys. MVP watch is Michael Haskell, who currently has an outstanding 5.93 batting average, 17 home runs, 32 hits, and an OPS of 2.278. Tommy Hernandez in that second spot right now with an average of 500 flat, 16 home runs, 29 hits, OPS of 1.943 at the very moment. And then the Cy Young, we have Jordan Drexler, ERA of 1.50 in 20 innings pitched, 46 strikeouts, and 5 earned runs. Blake Fitzgerald, a close second as well with 30 innings pitched, an ERA of 2 flat, 74 strikeouts, and 10 earned runs. You can check out those graphics at OC Wiffle Ball if they're still up there at the time you're watching this. They're probably gone by the time this thing's out. But anyways, I just wanted to get quick thoughts on what we think about those MVP and Cy Young watches as well. I don't know. I mean, especially for Tommy, it's dude. I don't know if we really expected Tommy to be. We expected him to be good. I don't know if we expected him to be like this good, right? So I don't know. You being the manager of the Illy Savosi, what do you think of those so far? Of just where those people kind of stand right now, especially like with the former teammate and Jordan Drexler leading the way with the Cy Young.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, I mean, just to probably a little more clarifying to people and to you. It's a watch list. It's not necessarily who's in first place and second place right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just highlighting some people that are up there and who have had good seasons so far. So it's not necessarily a first place and a second place right now. It's just an order, just to make sure we don't confuse that with anyone. But
who's hot? Who's hot right now?
I was what?
Who's hot? Who's on a hot streak, basically? Not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who's had a very good season? Who's in that race is for the most part, and not necessarily a ranking for it, just kind of a who's in that race. I mean, you have 17 home runs and 16 home runs so far for guys like that. If you had watched my podcast last week, Justin, you would know I actually did a whole second. I actually did a whole segment about this for my mid-season picks in terms of all the awards. And since you didn't watch it, I'm just poking fun of you. And since you didn't watch it, I put a list in there of all of the picks that I made for all the awards, which interesting to see. For things something like the MVP watch, my MVP through week 4 actually through the midseason actually wasn't listed on there, and a guy like James Lee, who I picked as my midseason MVP so far for the year. Taking a look into this list, just kind of going through it, like, do you have any? What are some of your thoughts on some of these players I picked, and any surprises to you at all?
I think the first one was definitely James Lee as a surprise on there. Also kind of under the radar this season, especially the type of season he had last year. The numbers are, obviously a little bit on the downside right now with the pitching, because I think a lot of guys are also figuring him out a tiny bit, but he's still dominant. I'm sure you mentioned it stat wise last week, but right now 70 strikeouts to his name, so he's right behind Blake Fitzgerald right now. Michael Haskell, Hank Aaron makes sense. Silver Slugger, Tommy Hernandez makes sense. I mean, they're both leading. Michael Haskell is leading with home runs right now. Tommy Hernandez is right behind him. He got, it helped out with that Lions series, getting a lot of home runs off of the righty pitchers. So it's kind of what's been working for him so far. Rookie of the Year, Diego ? From
it's a Diego question mark because he literally in the stats his name is Diego and then he doesn't have a last name.
Oh yeah, you're right. 308 batting average, no home runs. but obviously one of the newer guys. So yeah, I think that's fine. Obviously, Tommy Hernandez can also be in there, but obviously he's doing really really good right now. Cy Young, Blake Flucero makes sense. I guess Jordan is not in there. um, I like David
Well, you
Quiros.
can only have one. You can only have one winner of an award.
That's true. Yeah, I like David Quiros in that spot. It makes sense. Just how outstanding he's been so far. He's the biggest surprise to me, just because the OC was they've been kind of finding another backup pitcher or second pitcher that's going to be dominant right behind James Lee, and I think they kind of found it with David Quiros being out there. Obviously, Ethan has been not as much this season, so it's a little bit different right now with that team. But obviously, David has stepped up and he's done a really nice job so far this season for that team. I actually wanted to ask you because this might sound a little I don't know, inflicting, but like manager of the year, Stephen Hayden. What's the thought? What's the thought process there?
Well, so as if you go back and watch the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
which I heard you're going to do, you're going to study the podcast right after we're done recording this and take notes on it and everything.
I have spring break, so yeah, I got plenty
The
of time.
manager of the year, the manager of the year award was one that was very much in the air, and is based off a lot of different factors. And based off a lot of other people did winning awards and stuff like that. As I said in the podcast, I said like slightly to myself, but this could go to pretty much anyone. I just had to put a name in there, just to put a name in there as kind of like slightly ahead. You lose guys like Dustin Staggs and Jordan Dressler, and you're still in there right now. Right now, we're in the 3 seed actually, with just a game behind of getting into that 2 seed, which I think is a real possibility. Maybe not that 1 seed, but things like being able to organize that Lions game and things like that, making sure everything works smoothly. So I mean, I've already won one of those in the past. I'm not going to lie, so I can easily go to someone else. But I believe it also the same person has won Manager of the Year multiple times. So you could see someone from you could see like Woosh get it. Or potentially even like Ethan Lee / James Lee of the OC Wolfos because they're the co-captains of that team. Even though Ethan is technically the name captain, him and James have the same amount of responsibility with the OC Wolfos of LA. No matter what Ethan will try to tell you, but if we're able to sneak up into that 2 seed, and I was I'm able to introduce guys like Tommy and bring back guys like Austin Cutter into the league and still have that amount of success and have fun out there. I think PT teams are enjoying the playoffs. I think we're having fun out there, and we've been very in good standing with the league. I think it's one of those you never know, but this is a award that could go to. But probably not, most likely not the Avocados, since Lucas Sardo just won it the previous season. It could go to a number of people, but I had to put someone like slightly above based off the questions about the Louisville C to start off the year.
I think that's a good one too. I think it's a great pick to put up there. I mean, I guess Transplanters could also be up there since they're 9-0 this season, but that's obviously to be watched out for. You know.
Yeah, and also Andrew did win it in the fall 2023 season.
Mm.
No, mine was back in the summer of 2022 before you even played.
So
So
you're up for renewal, basically.
pretty much,
You're pretty okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of weird just
it's been
because
almost
like
2 years.
because you're the one that's picking it for yourself, but I think it makes sense just because obviously you lost Jordan Drexler who moved on for now, and then
For the season.
for the season, and then Tommy Hernandez is coming in as a new player and just trying to manage those expectations, especially with trying to, like you said, like we talked about it multiple times, is about finding that second pitcher and just trying to make sure that everybody's is present, right? And also organizing the fact, with a lot of guys being there. I know a couple times we've had Dom missed a few games because of injury. Austin also has been gone with an injury. Obviously, this last series he wasn't there, but so far myself and Tommy have been kind of out there for the most part. Obviously, you've missed a little bit of time, but not that much. It hasn't been too much in effect, but it also, you
Yeah,
know,
I've missed less than Tommy. So
yeah, and then expecting, also playing baseball and then school, blah blah blah, all these different things that you're putting on top of it. So I think it makes sense if you put it that way.
Yeah. I also mean that I mean even though Ethan and James are the captains, I basically run and organize that OC Wolfels team. I bring it together, and then they just do their on the field stuff. I try to make sure to get the different guys to sort them out and to be able to supply two different teams into this league and things like that. I know the number of teams have gone down in the previous couple seasons due to people being unavailable. You know, the summer a lot more people are available versus the winter or springtime. But we're still able to get two teams out there, and that's in part because I've been able to organize it and create basically a new team. And those who the LA team has had success, and they've talked a lot to me about figuring stuff out strategy wise and what to do with certain things. And you know, the biggest thing is kind of been telling Ethan Lee is, you know, like just sometimes you gotta step back and let other people see what other people got, and a guy like David Curious, who I had for the relief pitcher of the year, has really done that so far, and we've been able to see that.
Yeah, certainly we have, and I'm really intrigued just to see where that goes for the rest of the season because obviously they're also in the mix for the playoffs. I mean, all the teams are obviously in the mix of the playoffs, but it's going to be nice to see where they end up because they've been wanting to get in there for a long time now, and this might be that first chance that they get to really show off who they are and how deep they can go as a team together because they've had to work through a lot of different things, especially with some players, you know, not showing up for a big chunk of the season. And then obviously it's a young team, right? You got Ethan Lee, James Lee. They're both under, 20 years old. So they're a young bunch of guys over there. Obviously,
Yeah, Evan Kuros is young. Ethan Raffman's a little, I'm in his 20s, I believe. And
yeah,
then David's in his 40s, I believe. But yeah, I mean, it's a relatively young team in the league in general. But you know, you had a couple questions. Were there any picks that you would switch around, like for your mid season picks for some of these awards?
mm, maybe the MVP one. I probably would either put. I can't put Jordan Drexler in there. The batting hasn't been as great this season for him as well. Um,
Yeah, well, yeah. So I mean, before you, that's. I mean, I had James in there because of him being able to contribute on both sides here.
right.
He's had. I mean, we have guys like Tommy Hernandez and Michael Haskell who have both done better than James on the offensive side. But then Michael Haskell hasn't pitched an inning this year,
Mm-hmm.
and Tommy Hernandez has pitched a bit, but doesn't have the greatest pitching numbers. So he's figuring it out. He does have a 10.15 ERA. At the time of recording, uh, James Lee had a below 5 ERA, and I think he'll get to down below 5 before the season ends. You know, obviously he was the Cy Young winner last year, but also add on with that 463 average and 627 on base percentage, 7 home runs, 18 walks, and 59 at bats. I think when you combine both of them and also look at how the OC Wolves of LA are doing, I think that's for me slightly pushes James Lee above the rest. And that, I mean, and you saw Michael Haskell and Tommy Hernandez in there for those hitting awards and things like that, and you have Blake in there for that pitching award, is also in that mix for the MVP. So I guess I was interesting to see James Lee not mentioned on through those Instagram kind of MVP watch. So I think that I mean you can't get much dark horse in that. So there's a guy who I think is leading the race during the middle of the season, not even on that, not even mentioned in that list. So yeah, that was why I made that pick. But go ahead and kind of see. Let me see who you would possibly switch that around with.
Yeah, I could imagine because obviously we're talking about in this present time right now, but I could imagine seeing Blake Fitzgerald maybe sliding into the MVP if he gets the batting a little bit up there, and then Jordan fitting himself in the Cy Young, but probably James Lee would back up maybe to that. I don't know. It's those three guys that kind of just do it for me right now. I know the standpoint is usually MVP is a mix of both offense and defense, pitching wise and batting. Which is another reason why you've gotten MVP a few times already. Just based off of that precedent. So yeah, I mean, I can't really argue here. Like Hank Aaron, Michael Haskell makes sense. Silver Slugger, Tom Hernandez makes sense. Rookie of the year. I don't really know too much about a lot of the younger guys or the newer guys for that matter. So I can't really input who else would be in there for the most part. I guess the majority
Yeah.
is probably going to be pitches gone wild because they're a completely new team. Um, but I think the one that's basically kind of solid in there right now is relief pitcher of the year with David Quiroz in that spot because it makes sense, right? His numbers
Yeah.
are unexpected. He's just walking in here hey, I've been doing this for a long time, and he does. He puts in a lot of work into it. He has his own zone. He practices pitches with his son. He comes out there every single time, and it's taken him a while to figure things out, and he's really started to figure things out. Like it's just how it is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So, sounds good. Yeah, we'll see how it is. I mean, that's just middle of the season kind of stuff. We'll see how it ends at the end of the year.
Hmm.
If things could change, things could change drastically. Michael Ascot could start throwing 4 innings a game or something like that. So who knows?
Yeah, he'll
Most likely, no. I mean,
yeah,
if you haven't pitched at this point in the season, you're probably most likely not going to throw more than like 5, 10 innings on the year. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, usually MVP I see is a guy who's able to do it on both sides of the ball and help contribute a lot of success to his team. So
Yeah, and I think that conversation switched around a lot, especially with guys like Shohei Ohtani in baseball. But I mean, obviously, we're not trying to make that correlation between baseball and wiffle ball here, but it does make sense. Can you do it? Can you do both things? Because in wiffle ball, you can do both things. So how well can you do both, pitching and batting wise? So I think it makes sense for a guy like James Lee to be in there. I think if you want to get some space between the other guys that are behind him, definitely, those pitching stats definitely will bring that ERA down a little bit, and he's got plenty of room and time to do so. So we'll see, right? Week 6, week 7, week 8 is coming through. I know OC Wolves of LA still have a couple of double header weeks, so they got plenty of games. They got plenty of games down the road. Anyway, so
that they do.
yeah, so we've got the rest of spring coming through here. Obviously, we're getting close to the end. The playoffs are right around the corner in April. This week, gonna mention that this next weekend we have the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby taking place on the 23rd, starting at 10 a.m. I'm gonna advertise it because there was not a lot of guys at the last All-Star Game, but please go to the All-Star and Home Run Derby. I should not have an All-Star Game MVP plaque on my desk, but it's there.
Yeah,
So
you should just break that thing.
I think it's made of plastic,
Throw it
so I don't think
away.
I can technically break it.
Oh, is it actually?
It's like it's plastic. It's not glass. It's not made out of glass. It doesn't feel like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But I've never felt it, but I thought it was glass.
Oh, it looks like it, right?
Because I've been given some mugs before. I can because this also game MVP is
Ooh,
glass.
that's glass. Let me see. Let me.
Yeah, let me break it right now to prove it.
Yeah, let's try it right now. Let's. No, this is this. Yeah, this is plastic. This is definitely plastic. Yeah. But yeah,
Gotcha.
please show up. All Star games are literally the greatest time out there. And I don't mean it just because of like the guys you have out there, but in the past we've had lots of really fun times out there. The big thing is just there's so much offense because there's so much wind. Sometimes it actually becomes a pitcher's duel because the wind is usually in your favor, but kind of depends which side of the little grass patch that we use and whichever direction the wind is blowing. But it's a great time, especially in springtime. The weather's not too hot right now. It's not the summertime, so we're not there yet. There's no indications of rain coming up, so we won't have that as an issue like we've had the past couple of weeks. But yeah, seriously, please show up.
Yeah, from the email, I believe it's captains will be filling out that form for their team. You get to submit 2 players for the home run derby and 2 players for the All-Star games. So, also make sure you do understand it's where it is at. It's at Balboa Peninsula, March 23rd, 10 a.m. And we've had some high-scoring games out there, and then we had one year it was a 2-1 game out there. So,
Yeah.
in which I remember an interview with Dylan Hoffman saying they were going to score 15 runs and then we used like 5 different pitchers, and then they only scored 2 runs and only used 2 pitchers on the whole day, which is like him and PJ. So
Yeah.
I got to make up their mind, but overall, it's a pretty good day out there. Jordan Dresser currently the back-to-back home run, defending home run champion.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if anyone's able to knock him off if he's able to go out there. It's a lot of history with back-to-back guys, or with Shaden Hendrickson's case, it's back-to-back-to-back. So
Yeah.
only 3 ever winners of the home run derby. We'll see if we can get a 4th here for this week.
Yeah, we might be due for another one because usually they get broken after the second or third back-to-back-to-back type of thing, as we've seen throughout this.
They do. Maybe if I make an appearance, I can add on to my home run derby success. So
if you don't know where that came from the Winter Classic Home Run Derby, which Stephen Hayden actually won. Got a really big fat trophy. Obviously, you're looking at it right now.
A fat stack of cash.
Oh yeah, that is true. You got some cash for that too. Yeah.
I have here. I did win cash for, so
No
money involved. Pride for the OC football one, and also same for All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of awards to go around, right? If you do really good in the All-Star Game, you get a plaque. I don't know if it'll be the same as this. I know sometimes Anthony's giving out a bat. You saw the mug, or the cup that Steven had. So could be a couple different things. The Home Run Derby champion gets a custom wooden bat, or that's what Jordan got last season. I don't know if it'll be different this time, but yeah, again, it's a great time. The weather looking like it's gonna hold up really nice, and make sure you bring your chairs, because there's gonna be a lot of sitting. I mean, there is a wall, so you can sit on the wall if you feel like it, but I also will be out there recording, so if you want to check out those highlights, I usually post those on Ellie Wolf's OC anyway, so for any of those guys who are going out there, you also get some footage. They don't count for stats or anything like that, so if you do really, really bad, then, no deal. Your stats won't be recorded for that, so it'll be nice, 100%.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how many people we can get out this year. Hopefully we get more than Anthony and 5 other players from my 2 teams, so hopefully we can do that.
It was not even an All-Star game line. It was just Ellie was the OC versus OC.
It was a 3-on-3 game.
Yeah, versus Anthony. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We still made it fun, so it was great.
Yeah, I remember I couldn't go that weekend. I think it was I can't remember why I couldn't go that weekend from the winter season. It might have been baseball or something. I can't remember specifically.
Yeah, it was something.
I'd have to go back and look. I know what that was. Oh, I remember why I wasn't there now.
What happened?
If I'm not mistaken, that was the week. I want to say I was in York, Pennsylvania. I could be wrong, or something like that.
York, Pennsylvania? No, York. I thought we did York, Pennsylvania for the fall season. That's
or that might have been the fall one. I'm not sure. It was one of those.
Because it was in October.
It was the fall one I'm thinking of. The winter one. The winter one. I had family stuff to do with that weekend that I already had committed to, and because the date of the All-Star Game and Home Run Derby changed. It was supposed to happen like the week before, and then it got moved to the next week, and I couldn't go because of family stuff.
Yeah,
I already had stuff planned with the trip going like 4 hours north, so I couldn't change those dates. But yeah, it was the fall one, in which it was we had the conflicts with where I was in York, Pennsylvania for the for the UF World Championships there.
And you apparently won't be here for this one either, which is.
We'll see. Okay. I do have a game that day at 2:00, so depending on whether I'm playing or not, or what happens with that, we shall see what happens. Maybe it'll just be like I'm there for the Home Run Derby or something. Who knows? It all depends on. I won't know till like Friday.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when we crown a new Home Run Derby champion, or if it's gonna stay the same.
You're making a prediction already.
I don't even know who's going out there, right? But
Jordan, you hear that? Justin says you're already gonna lose.
I'm coming for you. No, there's
no way. Oh my God.
There's no way I'm gonna make that.
All right.
I need a good pitcher, and even then, I still can't do it. So, don't count on me.
Good thing you can't pitch to yourself.
Hey, excuse me.
Yeah, you're excused.
Actually, no, I didn't pitch to you at the Winter Classic, so that's why you won that.
Exactly. Yeah. Why do you think? There you go.
Thank
you, Tommy.
I figured it out. Oh yeah, Tommy Hernandez is the reason why you won that, and now he's here on this team. Um, Speaking of SoCal stuff, actually, got a lot of SoCal news going on. We had the combine for SoCal Wiffle Ball this previous weekend. It got moved because of rain from March 2nd to last weekend. Playoffs are happening right now. So if you want to check that out, check out the SoCal Wiffle Ball channel. But I'm going to hand it over to Steven because he knows more than I do about what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, things are starting to heat up. The next season is going to be. First off, we were finishing off this season. The playoffs are going on right now. Two very good wild card series for both for the AL and the NL. The NL saw the longest series so far of the year. Best of three series ended up going 3 games, and actually our very own from OC Football, James Lee, was playing in that series for the Dolphins. And he had a great series. They hit a 2-run homer to win Game 1, and then also had the game-winning hit in Game 3. Also pitched Games 1 and 3. Didn't allow a single run. Over 10 innings pitched, and must have been over 20, 25 strikeouts on the must have like 20 strikeouts on the day. So, great performance from him. They knock off the defending champions. The Panthers and the Llamas will see some familiar faces as well. Dustin Staggs plays for the Panthers. Who played 2 seasons on the other Wiffle OC team, 2 seasons, 2 championships in OC Wiffle Ball. So, winner there. However, not a winner in this series. He played against the Bama Llamas, which includes some previous guys from the league, such as Mitchell Downing and PJ Gordon. He pitched those two, able to take the series, get a sweep over the Panthers. Actually, excuse me. And leading off and finishing off with a Mitchell Downing walk-off home run. In a very interesting third inning, down 7-4, able to come back and win that one 8-7 to sweep the Dustin and the Panthers. So, interesting stuff going on in there. We'll be getting to the NLCS and ALCS very soon. My team got a bye, so now we'll be playing pretty soon. So you get to watch and see how my team, the Sharks, do versus the Llamas.
Ooh, got a lot going on. Obviously, you're playing very well right now too, right? Right?
Yeah. Some say I may be in the discussion for some awards, including the MVP.
Ooh, I mean, how many total awards do you even have on your shelf at this point? It's like what, 20? No, I'm kidding. It's less. It's less than that. But I mean,
excuse you.
Is it 20? I don't.
I don't know. Do you want me to sit here and count? We might be here all night.
You know what? No, never mind. No, let's not do that. I don't want to.
1, 2.
Here, I'll start off. Wood. That's it.
All right, that's all we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Technically 2 if you count
12 over here.
Technically 2 if you count co-VP, but that's nothing.
Oh, do you want me to add? You want me to add 2 more to mine? All right, 14 then.
Oh, 14. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Are you happy now? Did you want me to just say that aloud and look like an absolute prick?
Exactly. We got him, guys.
Oh my god.
But yeah. Anyway, so we got plenty of stuff going on. SoCal Wiffle Ball is crazy. OC Wiffle Ball is crazy. You've heard it here from us first with the mid-season award winners. Obviously, if you want to check those out in detail, go backwards to the last episode that Steven made. He's talked about that in depth a lot more than we did on this episode. Still got plenty of ball to go, so got week 6 coming up, and I don't know. You got anything else you want to share before we close things out for episode 42?
Yeah, things are starting to heat up and speed up, so be ready. It's almost playoff time, so make sure your teams are ready to go. Follow the schedules. Make sure you know we'll be playing the first set of playoff games on Monday the 9th, I believe it is. Monday the 8th. Starting at 6:30, so make sure you know your schedules when those come out, but be ready to play Monday the 8th. Unless you're the 1 seed in the Purple League, then you don't play till Tuesday the 9th. Stay tuned for which field we're going to be on as well, because that Monday/Tuesday for the playoffs could be on a different field at the Great Park. So, and then eventually we'll get that summer season going as well. Actually, there will be no break in between the spring and summer seasons. So, hope signups for that should be starting up soon. And if you did sign up for the golf tournament, that'll be taking place Sunday, March 24th. So, Yeah, the All-Star game the 23rd, and then the golf tournament on the 24th. So make sure you're ready for that, and we'll see what happens and who's able to win that tournament.
We should be fun to see. Usually Anthony puts a lot of those stories on Instagram if you want to follow what's going on with the golf tournament. So if that's what you're into, make sure you catch everything on the official OC Wolfball Instagram account, and obviously for the future updates as well, because obviously there's been a lot that has changed throughout this season. Like you talked about that break being absent because we've had so much rain within the last month or so. So we've had to push the schedule a little bit forward, and obviously we have had triple headers now, which usually doesn't. I mean, it does happen, but we had to do a lot more. Which within obviously the Sand Series was another thing we had to add in there into the mix as well. But that being said, that should be everything for this episode, and we'll have episode 43 coming out the following week. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I think Easter's coming up right around the corner. I don't know which day exactly, but I'm not a walking calendar on this stuff.
It's coming up full podcast before Easter comes around.
Okay, so the third. Interesting. That's on the 31st this year. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, last year we did part of a podcast on Easter.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if you remember that. It was episode 4. So.
Ooh.
How far we've come.
Well, almost. Is this basically like the 1 year anniversary at this point? Then, right?
But we're a little over that.
A little over, yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, we're a little over that because
here's to 1 year.
When we started around the same time, it was about like middle of the spring 2024. We started the podcast, so we're probably getting pretty close.
Okay. Well, cheers to 1 year in total, and to 42 episodes that we've done so far. Shout out number 42, Jackie Robinson, famous number. But yeah. Looks like we're all good to go here. We'll see you guys at week 6 for this Tuesday. And we shall see you guys in episode 43. This is Justin Lee, Stephen Hayden signing off for now. We shall see you guys in the next one. Have a good one and have a great one.
Smell ya.